All right. Once again, thank you for joining the City of Birmingham Employee Tele-Townhall Pension Update with Mayor Randall L. Woodfin. We appreciate you joining us. I want to let you know we appreciate all of your work and your service to the city. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. My name is Rick Journey. I serve as Director of Communications in the Office of Public Information. I will be the moderator here with the mayor today. Once again, I'll remind everybody, if you have a question during this call, please press 0. We will get to those throughout this time that we have together. With that, I will pause and I will introduce the mayor and let him have an opening comment for you. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for being with us today.
Good afternoon, Rick, and good afternoon to all the city employees. Thank you all so much for participating in this Tele-Town Hall. I'll tell you at the beginning that I hope you all, whatever questions you have regarding this topic, please ask us so we can get them answered, because we want to make sure that as employees, not only is your pension fully protected and invested in, but you are armed with factual and knowledgeable information. So with that being the case, I think it's very important for me to start with a thank you. That is not only for joining this call today, but thank you all for the service you provide on behalf of the city and to the citizens of the city. But mainly a thank you based on how hard the last year has been for everyone, especially you. I know this past year has been a difficult year due to the pandemic and its economic impact on our budget, and that's had a direct impact on you. But your continued commitment and service is very appreciated. I want to be clear also at the beginning of this call. You all have seen flyers. I've gone floor to floor. I've gone to some of the buildings that are not City Hall to share what I'm about to share now. I'll be recommending to the City Council that we restore merit pay, COLA, longevity, and holiday pay for all of our employees in this new budget. If you all will remember, that's what we did in 18. That's what we did in 19. 2020 was a hard year due to the coronavirus and not having our money to be where it is. And we will be back in a position in 2021 to be the same place you were in 18 and 19 related to merit, COLA, longevity. We first shared with everybody, I hope you all remember back in November of 2018, that there were problems with the funding to the pension. A lot of you all have been here 20 plus years, so you can recall years ago the pension was not only fully funded, but the city of Birmingham and the employees were making a higher contribution. In the early 2000s, employee contributions were reduced, but in addition to that, so was the city contributions. And over the next 17 years, what's happened was the pension funding, unfortunately, was at a critical low level. So what we've decided to do is respond to this issue since we've been in office, and we've doubled the pension contribution since 2017. Now, when I say we, that's the city of Birmingham doing its portion. Separate from that, there's an actual pension board. The pension board made a decision to recommend some changes, and those changes are now before the House of Representatives down in Montgomery. House Bill 510 would make it a law requiring that future mayors must fully fund the pension. So if you all recall, prior to 2017, the city wasn't putting in its fair portion, and the last thing you will want to happen is that the next mayor would not be required to put in their portion. So whoever's the mayor, whatever the situation is, the new law in Montgomery would make it a requirement that the city fully fund its portion. In addition to that, House Bill 510 restores the contribution employees made when the pension was fully funded. That change equals half a penny. That half a penny is 0.5. Now, I want to be clear about something. House Bill 510 does not change your pension benefits. Again, your pension benefits do not change. In fact, these actions protect your pension for many, many years to come. And without doing this, your pension is in jeopardy. On a separate note, restoring your merit pay, your COLA, longevity, and holiday pay in the new budget will offset the changes in the contribution of that 0.5. Also, I know there's some conversation around police and fire. I want to take the time to say why police and fire are set up a little differently. The main reason is police and fire do not pay into Social Security. The city does not pay into Social Security for police and fire because police and fire do not receive Social Security. And so their pension plan is separate from general service employees. As a general service employee, when you retire, you will receive Social Security and you will receive a pension check in retirement. Police and fire will not receive Social Security. Now, I know that's a lot of information altogether that I've shared, but those high-level points I wanted to emphasize to you, and I wanted to take the time to spend this next hour or however long you all need in answering any questions, concerns, issues you have related to us doing everything we can to save your pension. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Rick Journey for him to facilitate any incoming questions you all have to put us in the position to answer them.
Thank you, Mayor. Once again, I'll remind everybody that's on this call, if you have a question, you can press 0. We're already getting a good number of questions coming in here, but press 0, be patient. We will move through these questions and answer as many as we can. I would also like to remind folks that information about HB 510 and the current situation and the mayor's message today are all located at birminghamal.gov pension. That's birminghamal.gov/pension. That was established back in 2018. It remains there, and we continue to update information there. Mayor, this is a question, and I got a couple of different angles on it, and so I want to start off and ask you this question. It's been reported, as part of the American Rescue Plan, which is the federal government, their COVID-19 stimulus plan, that the city stands to get about $148 million. So the question has been asked, with all the money Birmingham is going to get from the government, from the federal government, can't we just use that to plug in the pension? Why do the employees or city or anything have to do anything else to fix it?
So it is very true, everybody. The city of Birmingham finally will get federal relief, like all other organizations got in 2020. We're told that the city's lump sum will be $148 million. They have not told us. We're still waiting on the Treasury Department from the federal government to tell us what we can spend the money on. However, in the bill, it was very clear what you can't spend the money on. And I want to say, I got some notes here about the American Rescue Plan. Bear with me 1 second. I'm pulling it up, everybody.
While you're pulling that up, I'll just remind you.
The summation is cities and states cannot transfer money to close any pension issues they have. So we're not allowed under this American Rescue Plan to spend money on our pension. I'm going to find a page for you in a minute, but go ahead, Rick.
Okay, yes, sir. Well, let's go on and ask the next question. You touched on this, but I do know that this question has been answered a couple of times. Does this affect any currently retired person?
No, it does not. I think that's an easy answer. This plan does not affect any current retirees.
Okay, so our next question, what are we gaining from paying the additional money? Ultimately, what are we gaining from paying the additional money?
I'm going to let Lester Smith answer that question.
So the main thing that the employees are gaining from paying the additional half a penny is they're ensuring that their retirement will be financially secure when they reach retirement. The main gain in this legislation is that the city going forward will be mandated to fully fund the annual contribution so that the employees will never again have to worry about incurring this situation.
All right. Thanks a lot, Mr. Smith. Let's go to our next question. I only heard about one account. Where is the other one? And I think this may be addressed to police and fire and the general services pension. Yes, it does. That's what they're referring to. So basically, when you have the pension board, you have separation of two. So if y'all can if you can factor me into that, you have basically essentially a pension board that's addressing police and fire as one portion of it, and then the general services employees as the other, because it's two different funds. Is that correct, Lester?
That is correct. There's two pensions at this point in time. There's the police and fire pension, which is governed by a separate board, and then there's the relief and retirement, the R&R system. The retirement that we're speaking about currently is just the R&R system.
Okay, we have a question about the holiday pay that you mentioned, Mayor, along with COLA, longevity, and merit. When would the holiday pay be reinstated?
Everything will be reinstated effective July 1. Merit, COLA, longevity, and holiday pay.
And I believe this is kind of a short question, but I believe this is what they're trying to ask. When might we see the switch happen based on HB 510? If that goes into effect, that will take effect on July 1 too, correct?
That's also everything would be effective July 1. Your pension, COLA, merit, longevity, and holidays.
Okay, so our next question is, pardon me 1 second while we go through these. Some of these are repetitive, so we just got to go through them to find the correct one. Just 1 second. Okay, so since we know previous administrations causing this trouble, and it wasn't the employee's fault, why can't the city pay the 0.5% and the employees stay at the same percentage?
I think the short answer is it's pretty clear. The city has doubled its contribution since 2017, and it's now 2021. So over the last 3+ years, the city has doubled its portion. I think what happened is when times were good, not only did the city start doing its part, but the employees' contribution decreased as well. And in addition to that, the benefits increased. Well, we're not going to change the benefits, but just like the city is doing more, all of this is shared participation, meaning for us to solve this gap that was created over many, many years, 20+ years. This didn't start over the last 3 years. We had to be in a position for the additional 1.5 covered, that the employees' portion was only 0.5 of the total 1.5 increase.
Mayor, we've got a lot of repeat questions, which suggests we have people joining the line who didn't hear your opening comment.
Then we will answer again.
Yes, so I'm going to jump back onto this question that you answered right off, the first one. I'm wondering if the city is giving the stimulus package that the federal government has announced for the city, and if that money could be used to fund our retirement and get where it needs to be.
So the answer is no. The city of Birmingham, it is true the city of Birmingham will be in receipt of a significant amount of federal funding for a bailout and to close our gaps. And we're still waiting on the Treasury Department to tell us what we can spend the money on. But in the bill, they were explicit in some things about what you could not spend the money on. And solving for your pension, putting money in your pension, transferring money in your pension are all prohibited. And so we cannot use any of this money for any of our pension shortfalls.
And I also want, along those same lines, again, we have another retiree that's coming in and asking, I retired 6 years ago. Will this affect my pension at all?
The answer is yes, in one way. It's going to make sure you continue to get your pension checks. Outside of that, no. This has no adverse effect on any current retiree. And for any future retiree, this definitely guarantees that your pension will be fully funded. Let me be clear, everybody. without us taking action and without us boxing the city in, without current employees additional 0.5 and for new employees a change, we're talking about being in a situation where not only does the pension continue to be underfunded, but if there are ever any issues in the future, the general fund would have to be used to pay pension benefits. As a city, we can never get there. In addition to that, many cities our size and larger have many pension woes. There is no current benefit. This is all about protecting your future. Every one of you all deserve to retire and not have to worry about, are you going to receive your pension check? That is what all of this action is about. In addition to that, there's been a lot of apples and oranges comparisons about our city versus other cities, what they did, what they didn't do during the global pandemic. So I want to make a note about the pension. Majority of the cities in the state of Alabama are actually at 7.5. Again, majority of the cities in the state of Alabama are at 7.5. In addition to that, these other things like COLA, merit, longevity, these other cities don't depend on sales taxes, occupational taxes, and lodging taxes like we do. So they wouldn't have the same budgetary financial issues we had in the global health pandemic because they're more dependent on, property taxes. So they didn't have the same budget shortfalls, nor do they have 3,500 plus employees, nor does most of their budget, which is almost 3/4, 75%, is actually spent on employees. So the last 25 cents is supposed to be spent on all the city issues for our citizens that they have and have in the queue for us to solve on their behalf. Go ahead, Rick.
All right, thanks, Mayor. We have HR Director Ms. Jill Medizek with us, and I think she can assist on a couple of these. I think they're fairly quick answers. The first question, is the drop going to be affected by any of this?
No, it will not.
Okay, so no, it will not. Also, Ms. Medizek, is the unpaid holidays, or will the unpaid holidays affect retirement?
They should not. When we calculate retirement payments, it's based on your highest 3-year average over a period of 10 years. So the fact that we had 1 year that some holidays were unpaid should not affect your overall pension.
Okay, we have another question. I've seen this several times popping up, and we asked it earlier, so I'll follow up with this. What are we gaining from paying the additional amount?
You're gaining the safety net that your pension will be fully funded, not only the day you retire, but most of you all will be retired for many years. So this is designed to make sure the pension is fully funded. So when it's time for you, the individual employee, to retire, you never have to second guess, question, worry, or are concerned that you will actually receive your retirement check that you deserve.
So here goes along the lines of what you just said here, Mayor. What is the plan to ensure that it will continue, that the city and the workforce will continue to fund the pension?
So that's it. This law that's before Montgomery, this law that your pension board passed back in October 2020, boxes in the city to fully fund its portion, and it locks employees in at 7.5, and it changes things for the new employees coming in to make sure the pension is fully funded. Okay,
next question. My question is, when do we receive the cost of living raise, and how much are we expecting to get? Would it be 0.5%, a 0.5 cent at this time as a cost of living raise, or could you give us an amount of what we are expecting to receive? So they're basically looking to see if you're ready to say what that actual amount is for cost of living, for COLA.
We're trying to determine now. We don't know. We're still trying to see the projections, what has come in business license, sales taxes, etc. What I can tell you on a low end, it'll be 1%, but we're still trying to see if it can be higher.
Our next question, my merit raise, and Mayor, I was with you recently at DPW on the East Division. and I know this question popped up with one of the gentlemen there. This person said, my merit raise was due in May of this year. Will I have to wait until May of next year to receive it?
Unfortunately, the answer is yes.
Just to kind of expound on that, the merit raises are frozen during the fiscal year, so it's going to go through the entire fiscal year before that will begin again. Let's follow back up with another question. Stand by right now while we look and see if we have anything new. We've talked about the COLA. Just a moment. We still get questions about, does this affect current retirement? No, this does not affect current retirement. One question, and I think this has kind of been touched on, if I was due a merit raise last year and a merit raise this year, are we going to get two merit raises, the one from last year and the one from this year?
No, you will only be able to get one merit raise.
Here's the next question. What was the actual shortfall for this year with the budget? And I'm not sure if this is for the budget or for the pension. I'm not really sure.
What's the pension shortfall?
So the pension shortfall this year, we're still waiting on those dollar amounts from the actuary.
Last year.
Last year, I would say that it was somewhere around $8 million.
The pension shortfall last year was $8 million.
And that was after the additional, if I can clarify that too, that was after the additional increase that we put into the pension. So we have seen over about, since 2018, since 2017, we have seen the contribution from the city more than double to the pension in that period of time, just to identify that. So the next question is, Mayor, why are you doing this now?
So I guess this is the moment I'll just be plain with everybody. I was a city employee for 8 years prior to being mayor. I've talked to employees who are still employed, who've been here 30 years and 35 years. I've talked to recent employees. I've talked to a gentleman that's only been here a month. All of our experiences are different. If you've been here 1 month, 8 years, 30 years, or 35 years, or if you like Mr. Cheney, just retired 1 month ago. The point is, prior to 2017, me being in this position, for the last, at least 14, 15 years, the can was kicked down the road over and over and not addressing the pension. The city's portion was unfunded year after year. We can no longer be in a position to play around with your pension. Your pension has to be protected. Your pension has to be invested in. And the time is now. The time is now because you don't want the gap to continue to increase in the underfunded portion. Nor do you want the city to be in a position where pensions are now treated as liabilities. And if you don't fully fund it, you're in a position where you can't borrow money. But the main reason I'm doing this is because this is what you deserve as employees. The biggest thank you can get is the day you retire, that you receive a pension check in the form of retirement. In addition to that, the second biggest thank you deserve is that you should never have to worry if your check is going to come. That's why we're doing this now. This doesn't benefit me. This benefits you, the current employee, the future employee, and the current retiree.
Mayor, our next question is, why when there are employees, this is the question, so I just want to press this. Why when there are employees still furloughed, is the mayor restoring COLA, merit raise, and longevity pay when there are still city employees furloughed?
There are currently in the city of Birmingham only 6 employees furloughed. I needed to verify that number. So there are only 6 employees furloughed. Everyone else was only furloughed, I believe, close to 8 weeks. Everybody else is back minus those 6 people.
All right, so let's go on to our next question. This one, and I might, I think you will, I'll let you answer it, and then I'll put in what Jill has been passing on to me. I've got several questions asking if there is, what are your thoughts about a COLA or cost of living adjustment for the retiree pension, for the pension? Is there any thoughts on that, or why has that not happened in the 15 years that this person says he's been retired?
That's a good question that I'll let HR or finance answer. I've never thought of that. So whatever I say, I would be making up because I don't know.
The first step for any kind of increase of that nature would have to be with the board. And once the board made that decision, then it could be pursued further.
So our next question is and this goes back to the $148 million of the federal government. I know this is a broader conversation, but what can you spend the money on, and what are you allowed to spend the money on?
We are still waiting on Treasury to tell us what we can spend the money on. We know if we have any budget shortfalls that will allow us to spend money on. We know what we want to spend it on, but we don't want to get ahead of ourselves with the wish list and then the federal government tell us you can't do that. So we're trying to be as patient as possible. We hope that the Treasury Department gives us some guidelines in the next week or two, and then we'll be in a position not only follow up with you, but follow up with the City Council.
Mayor, I'm going to ask a similar question again. Is the unpaid holidays affect our retirement? Just to follow up on that, the answer is no. According to Ms. Bedizik in HR, that should not have any impact on your retirement because it was a one-year event only. So the next question, and I'm kind of merging a couple. Why can't we get information from the pension board online? And also, why haven't we got more information on this situation?
I think two things. We, as in the pension board, can always be better communicators. And what I'm told is before this past October of 2020, different employee group members, general service employees, fire employees, public works employees group, as well as police, all of them took this back to their members prior to the vote. So maybe the board members, so we can talk among ourselves related to if the individual employee groups are not receiving information they can, maybe there can be a unified communication effort from the actual board as one body. But from what I've been told, prior to the vote of October 2020, when the board voted on these changes that's before you all, the employee member
money to the pension. Carol Smithman never gave.
The employee member took that back to the employee groups.
So this is a question, and I know this goes to some of the information that's been circulating about this. Does this action, I believe they're asking about HB 510, does this give the city access to pension funds as they see fit?
No, it does not.
This money goes straight into the pension fund. That's what it does, and it will not affect the city being able to access those. Again, we're getting another question about merit increases, in particular back pay. Can we put in for merit pay from the past year?
No, you cannot. But again, I think we need to wait on Treasury Department to tell us what we can or can't do related to that $148 million.
Another question, and I'll offer this up to you because it has been a couple of them, is what are your thoughts on how much the COLA raise will be?
At a minimum 1%, but we are still in discussions if it can be higher based on the projected revenue we will have this year from our business license, our sales taxes, and our ad valorem. Everybody, don't forget, we're still in the middle of a global pandemic. It's been only 1 year. But this current fiscal year doesn't end to June 30th. And so the business license taxes just came in the month of February, and they're still crunching numbers related to realistic projections. Those projections will tell us can we do more than 1%, but I can tell you it'll be a minimum of 1%.
And I want to pass along and go back to one of the questions that was asked to you, Mayor, earlier about information on this. Just a reminder to folks, if you want to follow along on announcements, and we will have some more updates based on the information. We already have this on the website, but we'll have some additional information. You can go to the landing page, birminghamal.gov/pension. That's birminghamal.gov/pension. There you will see a message from the mayor. You will also see a couple of the graphic sheets that have been presented to employees around city facilities, and you will also have a link to the actual bill. So just wanted to let you know that all of that will be in there, and you can find it there, and we will update that again as need arises to make sure everybody is aware of what's going on. Mayor, another question, and this is about the budget. Will the new budget restore jobs?
No jobs. The only jobs that were in question were part-time jobs. But there is no question around restoring full-time jobs because no one full-time employee ever lost their job.
Okay.
There's a difference between a person being furloughed and losing their job. Let's be clear, everybody, about what happened in 2020. Thousands of people in the Birmingham community lost their jobs. Thousands. I mean, like no exaggeration, thousands. Our priority was to keep you employed. We did that. I believe a few employee groups were furloughed up to about 8 weeks. But separate from that, everyone actually kept their job for the city of Birmingham.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Here's another question about if you receive a promotion, do you fall into the new pension plan or the old pension plan? Your pension plan, according to Ms. Medizik, would be based on your date of employment. It would not be based on the promotion, but it would be based on when you started with the city.
That's correct.
Okay, bear with me one moment while we get on to another question. Once again, I will throw this out there just because we're getting a lot of these questions about thoughts well, actually, let me go to this one. If there is $148 million is that more than 1% rate that goes back into the federal stimulus money? So there's a couple of questions about if that is brought up. I mean, if we've got access to that, is that going to be directly related to what our pay is going to be?
Again, I'm not sure because we don't know what we can spend the money on yet. And so we're waiting on guidance from the Treasury. Not only would it be premature to, I guess, I shouldn't speculate. I know what I want to do, but I'm not sure if we can do that.
Okay, the next question, I've got two versions of this, but I think it's the same question. What do we do if HB 510 doesn't pass?
I think we would be in bad shape. It would keep us from being able to fully fund our pension, everybody. We would be left to question what happens in the future. In addition to that, who's to say any other administration will make this a priority? So I think all of you all, and I've gone to all 10 floors. I've been out into various stations in the community, public works, fire stations, etc. And the thing I get over and over in person is, thank you for doing this. Look, this may not be popular. It may be a hard pill to swallow, but it's the right thing to do. So I think if anything, I want to encourage you all to call your state representatives and tell them as an employee, you want this passed. Please support this. Because you all should know there's an intentional design campaign that for some reason people are against this, even if it's the right thing to do. So at a minimum, balance the conversation. If you are an employee and you believe this helps, and more importantly, if it doesn't pass, it hurts the future of our pension, which we believe it will, I want to encourage you, and I'm not going to give you no talking points. You just say how you feel as an employee. We finally have a pension board that's made the tough but right decision. We want our legislators to support this because we want the future of our pension secure.
So our next question about current employees. This question, does this plan eliminate spousal pay for widows or widowers for current employees?
No, it does not.
So I'm looking right now to see if we can pull up some more questions. I'm trying to see if we can find some new questions in here. So Mayor, if you'll just give me one moment. And actually maybe just kind of, if you can remind folks again, just kind of recapping as we're moving through what essentially HB 510 does for current employees right now.
Yeah, at a high level, everybody, I guess HB 510 makes it law that the city fully fund the pension each year. So the city has to do its portion by law. In addition to that, the only changes for employees is the 0.5%, which is a half a penny increase in contributions. Separate from this, people have been trying to conflate the issue. But the question was, why do I have to pay this additional 0.5 if the city, starting July 1, if the city is not going to reinstate my non-holidays without pay, merit, COLA, longevity? That was a one-time deal because the city was broke last year. So for clarity's sake, your merit, your COLA, your longevity, and your holiday pay will be reinstated starting July 1. The same time, the pension increase of a half a penny will go into effect.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Bear with me for one moment. The question is, has anyone been held accountable for the underfunding of the pension? What measures have been put into place to ensure that won't happen again?
Well, listen, two notes. I can't speak to prior administrations, mayors, and councils who didn't put in the city's portion of what it was supposed to do. There's something else you all should remember. There hasn't been one, but there's been two recessions in the last 20 plus years. Most of the deterioration in funded status for the city of Birmingham's pension can be traced to investment returns being less than assumed, especially around the years that ended in 2008, if you all recall, and 2009, when the whole country was hurting really bad.
Okay, Mayor, and I'll turn to Mr. Smith, Lester Smith, in finance on this question. What is the city's current bond rating, and how will the current situation impact the bond rating?
So everyone will recall back in February of 2019 and March of 2019, the city underwent its credit review. At that point in time, Fitch downgraded the city's credit rating. In addition, Moody's came in March and they took the city from a stable rating to a negative outlook. If the city continues, and Fitch and Moody's both said this in their findings, if the city continues to underfund the pension, then its credit rating will continue to be in jeopardy.
All right, thanks a lot. Mayor, here's a question, and this goes to something very similar that was asked earlier, but this one's very straight off. Curious, were pension funds used for the downtown stadium?
No. Y'all still talking about the stadium? All right, let me say it real plain for you. As a city, we depend on tourism. As a city, we depend on sports and entertainment. And many of you all love to get in your car and travel to other cities to be entertained. The conversation around the stadium has been talked about for 40 years. There was a debate back in 2017, and the question was asked of me before I became mayor, do I support a new stadium? The answer was yes. I said with the following exceptions. The city of Birmingham should 100% pay for it. And we're not going to talk about it forever. We're either going to do it or not do it. And so the city of Birmingham pays $3 million into it. Jefferson County, that makes up 5 county commissioners, pay $1 million into it. The state legislators passed a bill related to car rental tax that pays into it, and the private sector pays into it. And so a $180 million stadium that's in our city limits, where we reap the majority of the benefits related to the taxes around it, related to tourism, related to bars and restaurants, etc. We paying 50% of the stadium costs because it nets additional revenue to make sure we can take care of the things in the city we want, which is separate from us enjoying sports or entertainment. Does anybody else have any questions on the stadium? I'll gladly take them.
I think the key thing is there has been some confusion and some claims. So just to clarify, the city does not go into the pension to use it for other things. Money put into the pension is money put into the pension. It is not used for the stadium. It is not used for any other things. It is the money that is in the pension is not pulled out to use for other issues. And I think that's the one key thing.
Well, not to mention that whatever revenue is produced in this area actually goes into a neighborhood revitalization fund to support the things that citizens are concerned about, such as street paving, filling potholes, sidewalks, things of that nature.
Thank you, Mayor. So I would like to ask Mr. Smith to join us on this question again from Finance. What is the current percentage that is funded for the City of Birmingham pension, and how does that compare to other municipalities in Alabama?
So currently for the year 2021, the City of Birmingham was only required to contribute 9% into the pension fund. This administration made the decision to go above and beyond the 9% and fund the pension at 14.5%. Okay. Currently, that puts the City of Birmingham, I would say, within the top 30% of other cities as it relates to their contribution rate. If this bill passes, the city's contribution rate will more than likely increase from 14.5% up to 18%.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Smith, for the answer on that particular one. Bear with me as we kind of run through these questions, continued questions here. So we'll go back to another question. This is dealing with merit raises and also a question about hazard pay. So when will we receive merit increases, and why are we not receiving hazard pay?
City of Birmingham, related to merit, COLA, longevity, all will be reinstated in the new fiscal year starting July 1. So everything starts in pretty much 90 days. In 90 days, all of these things will be restored. The hazard pay, I think the street term is the City of Birmingham was broke. We weren't in a position to pay you hazard. If we were in a position to pay you hazard, it would have put us in this. We would have not taken away the COLA, merit, and longevity. I'm telling y'all, I promise you, I know there's some, fear out here, and I want to put that to bed. The City of Birmingham was generally underfunded last year related to money coming in. You all make up the majority of money that goes out. So if it came in less, unfortunately, city employees received less. That less was in the form of longevity, merit, COLA, and those non-holidays because the priority was to keep you employed.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Next question. Explain why the state was able, and I'm not sure if this not, I can't verify this number with the number they use. Explain why the state was able to generate 3% income, but the city has a shortfall this year.
Well, the state of Alabama has some very different revenue streams than the city does. For example, I want to say they put the penny on the, the gas tax. That allows some additional revenue stream into the state. There were other things in the state revenue-wise that the city didn't have the luxury, as far as number of cars sold and all of those things. We literally cannot compare ourselves to the state of Alabama. And you can't compare us to any of these other small cities within Jefferson County because everybody's tax structure is different. You know how everybody say, you know how we always compare to other cities like a New Orleans or Atlanta? Well, here's a similarity. All three of us, those cities I just named, heavily dependent on tourism. If you have an 800-room hotel that's been closed for a year, the city of Birmingham has not netted any lodging taxes from that one hotel. And there are many other hotels that had issues. If we didn't have events at Workplay, if we didn't have events, conferences, and things of that nature at the Birmingham Jefferson Civic Center, then you didn't really bring in tourism. And so no one traveled to our city and ate in our city and had fun in our city. Hell, even the people that live here, we were on timeout for a while, and all of our favorite stores were closed for quite some time. So sales taxes weren't generated for the city at the level they were in 19 and 18. Lodging taxes were not generated at the same level in 20 as they were in 19 and 18. And occupational taxes across the entire city, because places were closed, people were furloughed or fired, we weren't netting those occupational taxes. So, with that being the case, what we brought in is going to always be different from what any other city in Jefferson County does. It's going to always be different than what the state does. You all see our numbers. Our numbers are very clear what comes in every year. And so that's one of the things we're extremely transparent about. But I just want everybody to realize it gets very slippery when you compare us to other cities, because other cities are not necessarily dependent on sales taxes, occupational taxes, and lodging taxes the same way the city of Birmingham is. Based on size, based on population, based on needs, based on how many employees they have. I don't think there's any other city in the state of Alabama that has 3,500 employees. So when you consider that you all are the priority related to the majority of how we allocate money that comes in, how it goes out, there's only a quarter left to do with all these other things. So the less money came in, but for the state, more money came in.
Mayor, this question goes to the season we're in right now. After the election year is over this year, what is being done to ensure COLA remains and merit raises remain?
The biggest thing, as long as I am mayor, with the exception of 2020 because of a global health pandemic and the entire economy shutting down, as long as I am mayor, the city generating revenue at a level it's supposed to be, I'm going to always recommend COLA, merit, and longevity. You all remember in 19, the COLA was delayed, but you end up getting it. But I'm always fighting to make sure you have your benefits. I think the other thing I want to say related to this topic is the state of Alabama and the city of Birmingham, unfortunately, we generate our revenue on a regressive sales tax. That's bottom line. Every tax is not flat, so it fluctuates. If it fluctuates, then it's hard to box in and say we're going to do this year, because if there's less money, then where are we going to get that money from? The main thing we saw for an order is your base pay, your pension. The other things we want to do every year if the money is there, with no hesitation.
All right, thank you. And Mayor, I think it's a valid point if Ms. Madizik with HR can join us as well. I know that there's been some asking about ensuring merit raises, but it was special circumstances only allow for the action that took place with merit raises. Is that accurate to say, Ms. Mediza?
That is correct. Merits are automatic unless the city takes an affirmative action to say that they won't take place. Merits were frozen for fiscal year 20.
And that was because of the situation dealing with the pandemic, which the mayor was discussing. Okay, I'm moving through here one more time, Mayor, as we. This person asked, I want to know, is there any education for employees about how the pension actually works? Can there be resources for something along those lines about how the pension works?
So this is the part that has definitely piqued my interest. I think there are a couple things we can do. I think one is for any new employees that come in, I think part of their orientation should definitely be a more enhanced detail of how the pension works. I think too, for existing employees, please be reminded that you have an employee representative on the pension board. I have to say this again, and I want to say it over and over. As mayor, I don't make any decisions about your pension in isolation. I am only one of 9 pension board members. So the pension board has employee representatives that represent the employee groups, general service employees, police, fire, and public works. In addition to that, there are 12 meetings a month that are open to the public and you as employees. I encourage you to attend, whether if they're in person or to listen to them now due to the coronavirus online. It is open to you. We can't hide anything. All of our meetings are very public meetings. And the last thing I would state is we can always do more town halls where we just answer any questions you have.
There was a question, and I think it's worth repeating this one. This was a question dealing with when will we receive our COLA? When would we receive the COLA, longevity, merit, and holiday pay that you discussed?
Starting July 1.
And that would be the same for the HB 510. When passed, it would go into effect on July 1 as well. Let me see if we can give me 1 second as we kind of move through here and find another question. Bear with me on one moment. Why have your administration agreed to the stadium when you knew you had an outstanding pension debt?
I believe the question is, why has the administration agreed to support a stadium when you knew you had an outstanding pension debt? So a couple things on this. I think we actually voted to support the stadium prior to having a full understanding of the pension debt. But as I've explained to people, as an administration, you all should appreciate, I hope you can appreciate this. We're going to walk and chew gum at the same time. I supported the stadium even if we needed to solve for our pension, the same reason we have to pave streets even if we have a pension debt. The same reason we have to fix sidewalks and fill potholes if we have a pension debt. Same reason we need to pick up trash if we have a pension debt. I can't just shift all money to paving streets, even if it's $50 million worth of paving streets. I can't shift all money to fill the pension hole, even if it's only $8 million. We have to walk and chew gum at the same time. There's only a finite amount of money. I can support putting all the money in the pension, but you wouldn't like that because in exchange for that, you probably couldn't get a COLA, merit, and your longevity. Everybody wants it all. What we try to do is strike a balance and give you a little bit of everything you want. In addition to that, I want to make this very clear. Previous administrations, mayors and councils combined, because council members voted on every budget where the mayor did not put in the city's requisite amount it was supposed to, not only knew it was a debt, but voted on the budget. They chose what they did, like they chose Regents Field, like they chose Crossplex, and like they chose all of these other things. What we have done is says we're going to walk and chew gum at the same time. We're going to solve for our pension, but we're also going to work this 5-year paving plan. We solve for our pension, but we're also going to support economic development in sports and tourism. We're going to solve for the pension, and we're going to do all these other things our citizens want us to do. So we're going to walk and chew gum at the same time.
With that, Mayor, we have come up on the time. I was wondering if there was any final words you would like to. I will say before I ask you that, just a reminder to folks. Once again, you can go to birminghammail.gov/pension, and you can see the legislation there. You can also see information about how essentially a half-cent increase in the contribution for you as an employee based on where your payroll, where your pay scale is, how that would factor in. So you can look and you can see that as well in some of the graphics that are provided there. And that's where we will put additional updates. With that, Mayor, I would like to see if you have any final comments.
Yes. One is thank you all for attending this Tele-Townhall on our pension. This is our 13th city employee Tele-Townhall since the coronavirus broke a year ago. And so I'm glad we had this channel to communicate with you all. 2, I want to dig deeper on the actual pension liability issue. We have to solve for this issue, everybody, because the current liability is actually, the debt is $1 billion. We have one priority here, and that is to make sure our current retirees and for every city employee that currently we have, that when you retire in dignity, and that you never have to question or be worried if your pension check will be here. The other note is this. This bill before Montgomery is very important. Your voice is very important. I ask that you activate your voice, especially if you hear any crazy noise out here that we're taking away your benefits, which I think you all know is not true. So it's important that if you all want to participate, you simply just tell your legislator or request to them that they please support this legislation because it goes to protect your pension. The last thing I'll note is this. You all, there's a history in this community that's unfortunate, and a lot of that history consists of a fast rumor mill. It consists of people making up stuff and posting it in the bathroom and by the time clock and all of that things. I hope you all know that anytime you have a question, you can ask me. Randall.woodfin@birminghammail.gov. I hope you know you can call our office. We'll always answer your questions or any concerns you have. But my main thing is this. I want you all as employees to always be armed with factual information because people will try to play you. People will try to put departments against each other, which I've seen lately, which is actually disturbing to me. And the other thing they'll do is have you believing that this administration is not fighting for you. None of us like 2020, but 2020 was very different than 18 and 19. And I look forward to restoring you all back to where you were in 2021, just like 19 and 18. With that, I hope you all have a good rest of the day. Please let us know if you need anything.